Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little different. We're taking a step back from the usual hustle, the constant noise, and that endless striving we're all so used to in our daily lives. Instead, we're going on a bit of a philosophical journey. We're digging into a profound text that offers a really radical approach to finding true, lasting joy. It basically suggests that happiness isn't about what we can accumulate or possess, but rather it's found in the pure, selfless act of creating. We are exploring the Tao of Creation.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Who can literally guarantee that tomorrow will be exactly the same as today? The source text we're exploring starts off by pointing out a pretty harsh, undeniable reality. Life is incredibly fleeting. In fact, it describes human existence as being as brief as a white horse passing through a crack in a wall. Think about that, just a sudden flash and then it's gone. We spend so much of our energy trying to lock things down, right? Trying to guarantee our future and our comfort. But the text challenges us right out of the gate to realize that we simply cannot control the tides of time.
And hey, this isn't just abstract philosophy. Small changes happen gradually, sure, but major worldly changes can occur in an absolute instant. I mean, we're seeing the Arctic ice cap disappearing, the glaciers at the source of the Yellow River are rapidly retreating, we're dealing with heat waves and disasters coming one after another in really quick succession. The stakes here are immediate and they are high. The core message the source is driving at is that whatever material things you gain in this totally turbulent environment, you can't truly keep them. Once a major change hits, everything you've hoarded will just disappear, kind of like water flowing eastward in the Yangtze River.
So, if the physical world is constantly shifting and, falling apart around us, what is actually stable? To fully grasp the framework of this text, we need to understand its foundational concept, the Great Tao. It is this formless, perfectly just consciousness that governs absolutely every single detail of our universe. We are talking about everything from the microscopic movements of atoms all the way up to the macroscopic dance of entire galaxies. The text notes that the net of heaven is vast, yet nothing escapes it. Even gods and mortals operate strictly under its rules. Understanding this cosmic rulebook is absolutely crucial for navigating the chaos of life.
Which brings us to Section 1, the universe's energy equation.
Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is how we transition down from the vastness of the Great Tao into how this actually works for us on a daily basis. And it all boils down to just one single powerful number: 0. According to the text, the sum of all positive and negative energy in the entire universe is exactly 0. It's a system of perfect cosmic equilibrium. So what does that actually mean for you and me? Well, it means that ultimately, the universe balances its own books perfectly. Every single action, every gain, every loss, it's all perfectly accounted for by the Tao.
Think of this zero-sum energy like a law of universal justice. If your action is to give, the guaranteed universal reaction is that you will inevitably receive. And on the flip side, if you receive something, you must eventually give. Because the math always balances out in the end, there is absolutely no need for you to obsessively track your own personal return on investment or calculate the payout of every little good deed you do. The Tao handles the accounting for you. Your only job in all of this is just to provide the input.
This brings us to this incredibly beautiful, poetic aphorism from the text: lose at sunrise and gain at sunset. Losing here simply means gaining somewhere else. The text explains that sweat lost is food gained. Effort lost is spirit gained. It even goes beyond this life, suggesting that worldly losses are translated into heavenly gains, and losses in this life lead to gains in the next. There is literally no such thing as a vain loss or an unearned gain. When you truly absorb this idea, you just stop worrying about being shortchanged by the world. It's a real game changer.
All right, let's move into Section 2, the cycle of creation. Let's see how this builds. Because if we aren't worrying about the exhausting math of our personal gains and losses, what exactly should we be doing with all our time? The text's answer is relentless, selfless creation, mapped out in what we can call the paradise cycle. Step 1, you create a beautiful paradise. Step 2, it gets taken away from you. Maybe someone steals it, or circumstances just destroy it. Now Step 3, and this is the hardest part for most of us, you do not get angry, you do not get upset, and you absolutely do not doubt the justice of the Tao. Instead, you move seamlessly to Step 4, and you joyfully begin creating the next paradise, over and over again. The author argues that the true perfection of life is found entirely within this continuous, unbroken process of creating, completely detached from whatever the final outcome is.
Moving right along to Section 3, the illusion of possession.
Now, you might be wondering, if the joy is entirely in the act of creating, why do we suffer so deeply when things are taken away from us? Well, it's because of the stark contrast between the sage and the everyday mortal. On one hand, we have the sage, or a celestial being who technically has nothing. But because they have no selfish heart and they view the whole world as their own, having nothing actually translates to having everything. They are totally, completely free. On the other hand, we see the standard mortal condition, possessing something. The very moment you claim ownership over an object, or a title, or a status, the text warns that you immediately spawn attachments, false thoughts, fears, and troubles. You basically become a prisoner to the very thing you claim to own.
You know, our standard societal instincts, our modern hustle culture, basically tell us that getting a massive return for very little effort is a huge win. But the text flips this entirely on its head. Giving much and receiving little is actually defined as a highly fortunate event in life. It's a way to actively avoid misfortune. Conversely, receiving a whole lot while giving very little is seen as a profound misfortune. It actively blocks your future blessings. The principle here is simple but incredibly profound. Without creation, there is no joy, and without contribution, there is absolutely no beautiful future to be had.
And that leads us to our final section, cultivating true wealth.
So the crucial point is this: if material possessions just bring us anxiety, and everything we build in the physical world will eventually be swept away by time and change anyway, what actually lasts? How do we define true wealth? The text makes this incredibly powerful point. Only what is embedded in your consciousness is truly yours. It reminds us one more time that everything physical is just a game. It will all become a fleeting moment. You cannot take your bank account, your accolades, or your house with you. The only real enduring property you'll ever have is your consciousness, your inner spiritual state.
And the thing is, we are constantly actively shaping that consciousness every single day. If we embed our consciousness with animal characteristics like greed, selfishness, and that constant fearful urge to hoard things, the text states this leads to a spiritual descent. But if we embed it with celestial or Buddha characteristics focusing on selfless contribution and joy, it leads to an ascent. Accumulating treasures outside yourself isn't just pointless because you'll eventually lose them, it's actively harmful because it becomes a heavy mental burden. It's literal baggage that drags your consciousness down.
This interconnectedness gives us a really simple but profound rule from the text. If the process is not good, the result will not be good. If the process is good, the result will be good. You simply cannot separate the journey from the destination. A lifetime spent stressed out, bitterly calculating every single penny, and full of troubles will simply lead to more troubles in the next life. But a lifetime spent in the joyful, giving process of creation will naturally lead to immense joy. The happy process itself is the reward.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate goal here. We are told to chase the sun to escape the darkness. When you entrust your life entirely to the justice of the Tao, you are finally freed from the heavy, exhausting burden of managing your own fate. You don't have to calculate anymore, you don't have to manage the outcomes or worry about protecting your ego. You just focus solely on creating and contributing, moving steadily and joyfully toward the light.
So, I want to leave you with this final, powerful thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. If you truly internalize this message, if you stopped calculating your personal gains and losses right now, in this very moment, what beautiful paradise would you start building today? It's an incredibly liberating concept, right? All that energy you currently spend worrying about success, failure, or fairness could instead be poured directly into joyful, selfless creation. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep creating, keep contributing without fear, and I'll see you on the next one.